This here is my 2008 Kawasaki Meanstreak 1600, and to be blunt, I absolutely adore it. It is utterly fantastic. That said, it's also kind of terrible, and I'll explain why as the video progresses. I've had it for about 7 months. I bought it this January. I paid about 8,900 Australian dollary dues for it, which is about what they go for here. It had 26,000 kilometers on it when I bought it, and I have put about 12,000 on it since I got it. The Meanstreak is basically the go-faster version of the standard Vulcan cruiser. It has got numerous performance upgrades from standard, such as larger throttle bodies, revised camshafts, revised combustion chamber, twin spark plugs per cylinder. It has a longer swing arm, a lower seating position, uprated suspension. No, it's not actually that fast. Despite all of those engine revisions done to the Meanstreak, it still only manages 73 horsepower and 124 newton meters of torque. If you compare that to muscle bikes of its era, such as the Harley V-Rod or the Suzuki M109R, well, let's just say either one of these bikes would annihilate this thing in a straight line. The 0 to 100 time in this, by the way, is 5.3 seconds, which is actually kind of terrible. That said, it'll still smoke 95% of all the cars you're going to see on any given day. It's a bit frustrating that Kawasaki have only managed to get that much power from 1600cc because, look, we know they can do better. To put it into perspective, the horrible Korean hatchback that should be appearing on your screen now has an engine that's 150cc smaller than this Kawasaki, yet it produces exactly the same amount of torque and 21 horsepower more. So the engine in this, despite being bigger, is less powerful than my horrible Korean shitbox. Okay, so by motorcycle standards, it's no speed demon. That said, the in-gear acceleration when you're up and running is frankly savage, and it doesn't matter what gear you're in or what part of the rev range you're in. If you twist the throttle, you will go, and you will go bloody hard. God no. I mean, just look at the thing. It's fantastic. Actually, this thing handles much better than it has any reasonable right to. Says me, who crawls over a gravelly stretch of road at about 2 kilometers an hour. Anyway, it has a fairly sophisticated suspension setup for a bike like this. It has upside down forks at the front, air assisted shocks at the rear. It also has the brakes from a Kawasaki ZX-9R, so it stops pretty well too. It doesn't have ABS though, so if that's a must-have for you, this isn't the bike for you. I do prefer my bikes to have ABS, but it's not a deal breaker if they don't. In saying that it handles well, ultimately physics will win out, and this is still a 300 kilogram cruiser, so you're not going to be keeping up with your mate on his R6. But as I said, for the type of bike that it is, it does surprisingly well in the corners. When I bought this bike, it came with numerous mods. The main two you can see there in front of you, which is the hypercharger air intake and the Vance & Hines long shot exhausts. It also came with these pannier bags and racks and the sissy bar. And the only things I've really done to it is absolutely destroy the looks of it by putting a horrible sheepskin seat cover on it. But good Lord, that thing is comfortable. It's like my arse is on a pillowy cloud. I've also put this quad lock mount on it, which is really handy for navigation. And I've also put this, which is a dual USB charger, which is also a voltmeter and an ambient temperature gauge. Yes, it's pretty comfortable. At the end of the day, it is a big cruiser with a 1600cc engine. It will do long journeys on freeways at freeway speeds all day, and you won't need to book yourself in for some form of surgery at the end of it. My back does get a little bit sore after about an hour or two on this, but that is more of an indictment on my back than it is of the bike. The stock seat is pretty good, but since I put the sheepskin seat cover on this, it has made a huge difference. Looks crap, but good God, it's comfortable. It has been totally bulletproof since I got it. I have ridden this bike in conditions in which it was probably not designed for. I've taken it down a load of dirt roads, hasn't complained. I rode it to Central Australia in the middle of a heat wave where it got up to 45 degrees, hasn't complained. Literally nothing has gone wrong. Well, at least nothing that Kawasaki did has gone wrong. The only actual problem I've had with this bike is the lights that illuminate the number plate at night. When I got it, there was this horrible aftermarket thing on it that emitted a red light, which is actually illegal, and Australian traffic cops are notoriously, shall we say, strict, and I didn't want to give them anything to complain about. So when I was in getting it serviced, I got these little LED jobs put on. They are now broken too. So that's the only issue. And that, like I said, is not Kawasaki's fault, is it? There are lots of things I like about this bike. I like the noise it makes, I like how it looks, I like how completely and utterly stupid it is. I also like the fact that it's shaft driven, as I take this bike on long spins from time to time, and that has made my life so much easier. I like the stupid modifications on it. I like the ridiculous air intake, which makes me have to bend my leg around it in a stupid way, which probably makes the bike less comfortable. I mean, a sensible person would just get rid of it. I would liken this thing to my terrier. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. Come here. Get it. That's not how we fetch. That is not how we fetch, boy. It's completely useless. It doesn't do anything for me. If anything, it makes my life needlessly complex, and it makes a stupid noise. That said, if anyone tried to take it from me, I'd kill them. The main thing I don't like is the fuel economy. To be blunt, this thing is about as efficient as a fire on an oil rig. Also, it only has a 17-litre tank, which is just too small for a bike of this size, and the fuel light comes on ridiculously bloody early, usually when there's 6 or 7 litres left. It doesn't have a fuel gauge either, so that's a bit of a pain in the ass. It's also not the best bike to ride around the city. It has the turning circle of a cruise ship, and it is a big heavy cruiser, so as a commuter bike, perhaps not ideal. Another little annoyance is visible there in front of me. The gauges, which are all chromed, will reflect right on your retinas if the sun is shining the wrong way. That said, I still adore this thing. I absolutely love it. It's just brilliant, even if it is kind of terrible. I suppose the only logical answer to the why didn't you buy a Harley question is that I didn't shut up and leave me alone. However, I'll put it to you this way. When I bought this bike, there was a Dyna for sale, same model year, similar kilometers. It was twice the price. That's one of the big reasons, is that I'm not paying a 100% markup just to say that I have a Harley Davidson. That's just ridiculous money. Now, I understand a lot of people are into the whole Harley thing. It's an aspirational thing, and if that's you, go for it. I'm not knocking you. They're good bikes. I haven't really got anything bad to say about them. Anytime I have ridden one, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. But this was half the price. Half. It is annoying when you constantly have to justify your purchase of a Japanese cruiser as if not buying a Harley makes you some kind of a failure in life. Well, screw you, buddy. I am definitely no failure, and I could easily afford a Harley if I wanted to, but I'm a very cheap man, and also I wanted a Meanstreak. I saw this and I wanted to buy it. If you do ride a Japanese cruiser, you don't really have to justify that decision to anyone, so fuck them. To sum up, this bike is probably the very definition of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. It's a muscle cruiser that's not actually particularly quick. It doesn't have the brand cachet that Harley Davidson has. However, despite its numerous deficiencies, shall we say, it is just such a likeable bike. It's the sort of thing that gets under your skin. And I suppose how I would best demonstrate my feelings on this bike is the fact that in order to get this, I did pretty much a straight swap of a much newer bike that is measurably better in basically every single metric. That'll be a topic for another video. But I saw this and I just kind of had to have it. There was no logic behind it. It was probably a terrible financial decision, but I don't care. I just ride this thing around the city or off on my road trips with a big shit-eating grin on my face, happy that the bad decision I made to get it in the first place was absolutely the correct one. I absolutely love this bike. It is fantastic. Go buy one, but do it soon, because these were last produced in 2008 and they're probably starting to get a bit scarce. So just stop thinking about it and just go and do it. You won't regret it, not even slightly. Anyway, I shall finish this video by disturbing the tranquility of this nice suburban street. Have a good one, kids. Good luck. I forgot the single best thing about it, and that is the flame radiator cover, which is simultaneously the best and worst thing that has ever been fitted to a motorcycle.